Apec and Asean. They're acronyms that flash across headlines whenever top Asia-Pacific leaders gather to shake hands, meet one-on-one and negotiate deals. And that's about it, at least to most people. Even some experts see the annual events as mere talking shops. We sat down with the Post senior Asia reporter Dewey Sim, who's covering a series of leaders' summits happening in the region in November, including the G20 in Bali. He disagrees with those critics, especially given what's been going on this year.
I think there's definitely usefulness in it, and I think it's still very relevant. I would think that there'll be some overlap in topics given the situation, given the problems that are grappling the world today, but I think each summit has its own appeal and has different topics for leaders to remain engaged in.
APEC focuses on economic cooperation to make doing business easier among its members. It was established in 1989 by founding countries Australia, Brunei, Canada, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and the United States. ASEAN, on the other hand, is a summit for regional security issues. It was created in 1967 by Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. ASEAN was originally set up to stop the spread of communism in the region, but it has evolved to tackle other security and political issues. What's on the agenda in 2022?
To start off, it will be the ASEAN Summit. We expect Myanmar to be on the top of the agenda. We have seen ASEAN ministers last issuing a harsh statement saying that they want some concrete timetable of the peace deal for the Myanmar leaders to abide by.
Myanmar has been in turmoil since the military coup in February last year. The country's ruling junta has ignored calls to end a brutal crackdown on dissent that has killed more than 2,300 people. In the run-up to the meeting in Cambodia, ASEAN has faced growing pressure to act firmly against the junta while maintaining a commitment to a peace agreement, also known as the 5-point consensus. So far, Myanmar has not been going along with this peace plan they have. So do you expect them to make any headway in convincing Myanmar to stick by this plan?
I think over the past week, leaders from some countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore, has expressed disappointment in the limited success and progress. And I think analysts are saying that they are not really optimistic that there will be much progress in getting the military officials to be on the same page. And that's why they are suggesting that they could come up with stronger measures to perhaps persuade the junta officials into agreeing to a new plan, or to debate on the current plan, and to really assess the usefulness of it, including excluding the junta officials from regional summits and regional meetings. Even though analysts are not particularly optimistic about it, but they are hoping that there'll be a little progress in the talks.
Sim is skeptical of ASEAN's soft institutional arrangement, meaning countries make no binding commitments. It's simply a proposal for ways to improve trade without serious bargaining, negotiation, or accountability.
I don't think they have much of a leverage. All parties have to agree on something, and that could be something that hinders the progress of the peace deal, yes.
The same goes for APEC. It accentuates the positive and avoids disagreements or debates over concessions. But a war raging thousands of miles away will be on everyone's mind.
For APEC, it would mostly focus on economic integration. There will be things about future economic cooperation. And I think one large topic that would be weighed in on would be impacts of the Ukraine war. Leaders will talk about rising energy prices and inflation, and ensuring that there's food security and affordability.
Russia's decision to invade Ukraine in February has choked global supply chains of products like fuel and wheat. Energy prices have skyrocketed as a result, and soaring inflation on staple foods has hurt people's pockets globally.
A lot of countries are dealing with it. Central banks are increasing rates, and I think it sets up a good stage for leaders to come together and seek cooperation and deals as to how to improve the situation. It's definitely going to be a big talking point.
Which gathering do you think where you expect something more substantial to come out of?
I think the ASEAN and APEC summit are quite different, and I think they serve different purposes as well. For ASEAN, it's really focused on regional and sub-regional issues. Things like the South China Sea, for example, it's pretty regional, and then the different summits between ASEAN and their partners like US, they are also focused on specific issues, and they tackle more regional stuff compared to APEC, which can likely bring in more international and global topics like the Ukraine war, for example. So I think they all play a very complementary role, and with this string of events happening in such a short time, it allows leaders to really come together and facilitate conversations on different issues from regional to international.